Regardless of how you establish an array, there's only one way to retrieve a specific element or value from it, and that's to refer to its index. So here I have an array that we've been working with, our weekly specials array, and I have 7 weekly specials. Currently, I'm using printr to print out all of the weekly specials. But if I want to just access one of these items, I could use the print statement, and I'm just going to print out a paragraph. So we'll print out Monday's special is, and then we'll ask to access the specials array, and we're going to ask for the value of the Monday key. If we save and we refresh, you can see that we're getting an error message. What's happening is we're referencing within double quotation marks a specific element from an associative array. This is going to cause parse errors. To combat this issue, we're going to wrap the entire array construct within the curly braces. So if I update what I've written right here and just wrap the entire array construct inside of curly braces and we refresh, you can now see that it's going to print out what Monday's special is, and it's giving me the result of fruit salad, which is indeed the value for the first key. So whenever you're dealing with arrays, if you wrap an array element reference inside of the curly braces, that is one way that you can avoid parse errors. Now, one of the features that makes arrays so useful, and that is being able to store multiple values in one variable, it also gives you a limitation that other variables don't have. That is that you need to know the keys of the array in order to access its elements. If an array was set up using strings, like what we have here in our weekly specials array, then referring to something like weekly specials 0 is going to point to nothing. And because indexes are case sensitive, if I had written something like Monday with a lowercase m, this is also going to be meaningless because our fruit salad was indexed as Monday with a capital M. And if you try to refer to an array index that does not exist, you're going to have an undefined offset or undefined index notice. That might look something like this. And you can see I have an undefined index that's going to show up. The fastest and easiest way for you to be able to access all of the values of an array is to use a for each loop. This construct is going to loop through every single element of the array. So with each iteration of the loop, the current array's element key will be assigned to a key variable, and the value is going to be assigned to value. Let's look at how we can use a for each loop to gather all of the information from our existing array. So I'll start off by writing for each, and then in parentheses, I'm going to pass on the condition. So our condition is going to be weekly specials as days equal then or greater than special. And what we're doing right here is we're going to iterate through every element of our weekly specials array. We're going to assign each index to our new days variable and each value to the special variable. Then we're going to print out these values within HTML paragraph tags. So I'm going to use the print statement and I'll print out days : special, and those are going to be within the paragraphs. The for each loop construct is going to loop through every element of the array. With each iteration of the loop, the current array's element key will be assigned to the days variable in this case, and the value is going to be assigned to the special variable. And we could use any variable names here. They don't have to be fully written out. You may find that it's easier just to use a character for your array. But if we save our page at this point and we refresh in the browser, you can see that it's going to list every single day with the accompanying special that's been assigned to it. So this is obviously a much more readable and legible form than what we were getting before when we were using the print_r statement. The execution of the loop for each element in the array generates this particular content on our page. The for each construct allows the script to access each key and value without prior knowledge of what they are. In some situations, you may want to access only an array's values and not the keys. You can use the for each to do that as well. That would look something like this. We're going to use the for each loop. We're going to pass in the name of the array as the value that we want to get. And then we could do whatever we want. In this case, I'm just going to print the values. If we save and we refresh, you can see that now it's going to list my H3. And then I have the list of just the values that are printing out rather than the key value pairs. Another way to access all of numerically indexed array elements is to use the for loop. Since our array was indexed with strings, that was not an option. But if we have an array that's been indexed with numbers, we can use the for loop instead. So let me show you what that is going to look like. Here I'm creating a fruit array, and we'll just print the value of the fruit array so we can see what's going on. You can see that I have the 3 items in my array, and it's assigning an index for each of the items, starting with 0 and incrementing through the length of the array. We'll now use our for loop so that we can access all of the numerically indexed array elements. I'm going to begin by printing an H3 that just says available fruit. Then we'll set up our for loop. To begin the for loop, I'm going to set up a variable called n. I'm going to set it equal to 0. Then I'm going to check to see if n is less than the length of my array. And I'm using count and passing in the array. Then I'm going to increment n by 1. And we'll just print the fruit array, and we'll use our n variable to pass in the index that we want to show. And then I'm just going to use a break. If we come back and we refresh, you can see that it now says available fruit, and it's going to list all of the fruit that is part of our array. So using the for each loop, you can gather the values of an array that have been created using a string as an index. Using a for loop, you can easily access all of the values of a numerically indexed array. And so now you know several different methods of accessing elements in an array.